Good morning and welcome back to my channel on My Lesson Teacher. Today's class is a continuation of our previous classes on set theory. In today's class, we shall be looking at the application of Venn diagrams to solving problems. In today's class, we shall be applying what we have learned in our previous classes in solving word problems. Let's have a recap on what we did at the last class. At the last class, I introduced us to Venn diagrams, where I told you we have a two subset problems on Venn diagram, and these two subset problems can be divided into four regions, where we have region 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I gave the description of each of these regions and how to find them. I equally told us that the sum total of these four regions gives us the universal set. In the three subset problems, we were looking at 8 different regions, and each of these regions were equally dealt with. So, in today's class, we shall be looking at the application of Venn diagrams in solving problems. Let's look at the first example. The first example says, in a class of 40 students, a student can study French or history or both. If 20 study French, 23 study history, and 6 study neither, how many students study both subjects? This is an example of a word problem that can easily be solved using set. And how can we do that? What we have to do first of all is to first try and understand the question, and then see how you can represent them using set notation. Thereafter, you can introduce the Venn diagrams and substitute these elements, try to fill in the different regions which I spoke about, and see how you can manipulate them in actualizing your goal. Now, I'm going to interpret these questions using set notation. That in a class of 40 students, a student can study French or history. Now, I'm going to take that to be, in a class of 40 students, that gives us the universal set, because 40 students is said to be the total number of students into consideration. So I'm going to write universal set is equal to 40. A student can study French or history or both. What that means is we have two subjects under consideration, which is French and history, and each student can study at least one, by saying a student can study French or history or both. Meaning we have some students that studied only French, while some studied only history, while you may have a particular set of students that will study both French and history. So this has introduced us into two sets problems. So we can use two subsets in solving this particular question. That if 20 study French, I will interpret it as N of French, where F may stand for French. So N of French is said to be 20. 20 students study French. 23 students study history. So H will be for history, and I'll interpret it as N of history is given to be 23. And 6 students, and 6 study neither. Okay, meaning 6 students study neither of French nor history. So that becomes N of F union H prime is equal to 6, meaning 6 students did not study French nor history. Now the question comes, how many students study both subjects? How many students study both subjects? How do we write that in set notation? It's said to be n of f intersection h, and let that be said to be equal to x. Now, I have been able to interpret this using set notation. I'm going to represent this in the Venn diagram. Remember what I said earlier on, that in the Venn diagram of two subsets problem, we have four regions. This is a universal set. The first region, this is French and history. The first region, which is the intersection, is said to be those who studied both French and history. And from our analysis, we said let it be x, and we are asked to find that. Now, total number of students who studied French is said to be 20, while that of history are said to be 23. So, this region is talking about those that studied only French, and this region talks about those that studied only history. But we are also giving those who studied neither to be 6. They are in the class, but they did not study. We may take them to be those who like playing truancy, but not in all cases. Okay, so how do we get those who studied only French? Those who studied only French can be said to be 20 minus x, because if you look at the region of French, this region, it encompasses those who studied only French and those who studied French and history. So for those who studied only French, we said it is 20 minus x, while those who studied only history can be said to be 23 minus x, because the region of French is also in this bracket. Okay, so now I have been able to get those who can be found in each of these four regions. And remember the previous class, I told you that the algebraic sum of all these four regions gives us the universal set, and the universal set in this case is said to be 40, because this is said to be the total number of students under consideration. Remember, the question says we should find those who studied both subjects, that is French and history. So the universal set is said to be equal to n of f intersection h prime plus n of f prime intersection h plus n of f union h all primed plus n of f intersection h. That is to say, the universal set is made up of those who studied only French. This is for those who studied only French, those who studied only history, those who did not study French nor history, and those who studied both French and history. So let's substitute. The universal set is given to be 40. So this is 40 being equal to those who studied only French are said to be 20 minus x. So I write it as 20 minus x plus those who studied only history. They are said to be 23 minus x. This becomes 23 minus x, while those who studied none is said to be 6, and those who studied both French and history, they are said to be x. So what we are going to do now is to collect items and make x the subject of the formula. So this becomes 40 is equal to 20 plus 23 plus 6. 20 plus 23 will give us 43. 43 plus 6 is said to be 49. So 49. Let's also add up all the variables. Minus x plus x is 0. So we are left with minus x. So this has reduced it down to a simple equation, and therefore we now make x the subject of the formula by adding x to both sides of the equation. So this becomes x will be equal to 49 minus 40, and our x is said to be 9 students. What this means is that 9 students offer both French and history, and if you substitute this to be 9 and substitute x for 9 in each of the regions, you discover that their sum total will be equal to 40. So that if this becomes x, those who studied only French becomes 20 minus x, and 20 minus 9 is said to be 11, meaning only 11 studied French, while those that studied only history will be 23 minus 9, and 23 minus 9 is 14. So if you add up 11 to 14 plus 9 plus 6 will sum up to give you the universal set, which is 40. And if you add up all those in the set French, you discover that it's going to give you 20 by saying 11 plus 9 is 20, as well as 9 plus 14 is said to be 23. When you do this and it corresponds, that signifies that your answer is right. That brings us to the end of today's class on two subset problems. If this is your first time of attending our class, kindly let us know how you feel on the comment section, why you like our videos. Also share the links to your friends so as to carry everybody along. Thank you very much, and do have a nice day.